Guess How Much I Love You by Sam McBratney and illustrated by Anita Girard. Little nut brown hare, who was going to bed, held on tight to big nut brown hare's very long ears. He wanted to be sure that big nut brown hare was listening. Guess how much I love you, he said. Oh, I don't think I could guess that, said Big Nut Brown Hare. This much, said Little Nut Brown Hare, stretching out his arms as wide as they could go. Big Nut Brown Hare had even longer arms. But I love you this much, he said. That is a lot, thought Little Nut Brown Hare. I love you as high as I can reach, said Little Nut Brown Hare. I love you as high as I can reach, said Big Nut Brown Hare. That is very high, thought Little Nut Brown Hare. I wish I had arms like that. Then Little Nut Brown Hare had a good idea. He tumbled upside down and reached up the tree trunk with his feet. I love you all the way up to my toes, he said. And I love you all the way up to your toes, said Big Nut Brown Hare, swinging him up over his head. I love you as high as I can hop, laughed Little Nut Brown Hare, bouncing up and down. But I love you as high as I can hop, smiled Big Nut Brown Hare, and he hopped so high that his ears touched the branches above. That's good hopping, thought Little Nut Brown Hare. I wish I could hop like that. I love you all the way down the lane, as far as the river, cried Little Nut Brown Hare. I love you across the river and over the hills, said Big Nut Brown Hare. That's very far, thought Little Nut Brown Hare. He was almost too sleepy to think anymore. Then he looked beyond the thorn bushes out into the big dark night. Nothing could be farther than the sky. I love you right up to the moon, he said, and closed his eyes. Oh, that's far, said Big Nut Brown Hare. That is very, very far. Big Nut Brown Hare settled Little Nut Brown Hare into his bed of leaves. He leaned over and kissed him good night. Then he lay down close by and whispered with a smile, I love you right up to the moon and back. Guess How Much I Love You in the Autumn by Sam McBratney and illustrated by Anita Girard. Little Nut Brown Hare and Big Nut Brown Hare went out in the autumn wind. On a windy day, the leaves are blowing. They chased after falling leaves until Big Nut Brown Hare could chase no more. I have to have a rest, he said. Then a big brown box came rolling by, blown by the autumn wind. Little Nut Brown Hare caught up with the box when it got stuck in a bush. What a fine big box! It was great for jumping over, jumping on, and jumping in. Big Nut Brown Hare was resting under a tree when a box appeared in front of him. A big brown box. It gave one hop and then stood absolutely still. "I'm a box monster!" shouted the box. Goodness me! Big Nut Brown Hare blinked his eyes and wondered if he was dreaming, for he had never heard of a box monster before. The box, or the monster, or maybe the box monster, took 2 hops forward. "Here I come!" roared the box, hopping its biggest hop yet, and Big Nut Brown Hare jumped behind the tree. "I wonder, should I run away?" said Big Nut Brown Hare. "No!" shouted the box, which suddenly flew into the air. "It's only me!" And there was little Nut Brown Hare who could hardly stop laughing. "You're not a monster," said Big Nut Brown Hare. "But guess what?" "What?" "I'm a big nut brown monster, and I'm coming to get you." And so he did. Guess how much I love you in the winter. Little Nut Brown Hare and Big Nut Brown Hare went out in the winter snow. They played I Spy as they hopped through the snow. Little Nut Brown Hare looked around until he saw something interesting. "I spy something that belongs to a tree," he said. Big Nut Brown Hare did some thinking about trees. Could it be a leaf? It was the right answer. Now it was Big Nut Brown Hare's turn to look around him. "I spy something that belongs to a spider." "A web," said Little Nut Brown Hare. Yes, a web was the answer. "I spy something that belongs to a bird," said Little Nut Brown Hare. Big Nut Brown Hare thought about birds for a while. Then he said, "Could it be a feather?" Yes, it was a feather. "This time," said Big Nut Brown Hare, "I spy something that belongs to the river, and it's wet, wet, wet." "Water!" cried Little Nut Brown Hare. Water was the answer. Little Nut Brown Hare began to laugh. "I have got a good one," he thought. "I spy something that belongs to me." Big Nut Brown Hare was puzzled. "Can I have a clue?" he said. "It's only there when the sun comes out." "Your shadow," said Big Nut Brown Hare. Then Big Nut Brown Hare said, "I spy something that belongs to me, and it's not my shadow." This was a really tricky one. Little Nut Brown Hare did some thinking and then he said, "Can I have a clue?" "It's little. It's nut brown. It's my most favorite thing. And it can hop." and it was the right answer. Guess how much I love you in the spring. Little nut brown hare and big nut brown hare went hopping in the spring. Spring is when things start growing after winter. They saw a tiny acorn growing. Someday it will be a tree, said big nut brown hare. A big tree? Oh, a mighty tree, said big nut brown hare. Little nut brown hare spotted a tadpole in a pool. It was a tiny tadpole, as wriggly as could be. It will grow up to be a frog, said big nut brown hare. Like that frog over there? Just the same as that one, said big nut brown hare. A hairy caterpillar slowly crossed the path in front of them, in search of something green to eat. One day soon it will change into a butterfly, said big nut brown hare. With wings? Oh, lovely wings, said big nut brown hare. And then they found a bird's nest among the rushes. It was full of eggs. What does an egg turn into? Asked little nut brown hare. A bird. A big bird? Well, a grown-up bird, said big nut brown hare. Does nothing stay the same? Thought little nut brown hare. Does everything change? Then he began to laugh. What does a little brown hare like me turn into? He said. Big nut brown hare began to think and think. Goodness me, did he know the answer? Yes. A big nut brown hare, like me. Guess how much I love you in the summer. Little nut brown hare and big nut brown hare were down by the river on a summer's day. On a summer's day, there are colors everywhere. Which blue do you like best? Asked little nut brown hare. Big nut brown hare didn't know. There were so many lovely blues. I think maybe the sky, he said. Big nut brown hare looked across the river. There were grasses and ferns and tall plants swaying in the breeze. Which green do you like best? He asked. Little nut brown hare began to think, but it didn't really know. So many lovely things were green. Maybe the big leaves, he said. Now it was little nut brown hare's turn to pick a color. He spotted a ladybird and some poppies. What's your favorite red? He asked. Big nut brown hare thought about red things, but it was hard to choose just one. I think those berries, he said. Big nut brown hare nibbled a dandelion leaf. Which yellow do you like best? There were so many yellows. Little nut brown hare even saw some yellows buzzing about. How could he possibly choose? Maybe these flowers, he said. Then little Nut Brown Hare began to smile and smile. He looked at Big Nut Brown Hare and said, "Which brown do you like best?" And Big Nut Brown Hare smiled too. There were many, many lovely browns, but one was the best of all.